that? What you
Yeah,
think
so
benefits
here's
that
the
would be?
way, and I'm going to paint with a very broad brush for a second. Here's the way most guys think in a certain situation. Again, maybe not everybody. In your relationship, it may be the female, and maybe neither one of you. So if there is a time, if there's a day, let's just say there's a morning, and man, we've been rushing around getting the kids ready for school and whatever, and Corrie, like I'm kissing her goodbye before I walk out the door, and she's like, man, I miss you. You know, tonight, when we get the kids in bed, you know, let's have a little adult time, right? Maybe the kids are staying there. That's why we called it adult time or something. So she's like, let's have a little alone time.
I don't know that I have ever called it adult
But
time.
man, it was
ever.
amazing. It was amazing when I said it. As soon as I said it, I was like, we need to start calling it that. So she's like, okay, hey, tonight, you know, like, let's get, okay, so all day long, right? I'm thinking one thought. How early can we get the kids in bed? Right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, you think 3:15 is too early? If I gave them some Benadryl, they sounded like they had a little cough this morning. They were sniffling a little bit, a little NyQuil. We're going to have a little 4 p.m. bedtime. We're ordering pizza at 3:45 all day long. And so we get to the end of the day, and like, I don't know.
Be careful.
All hell broke loose in our house. And one kid forgot their homework, and the other kid like punched the other kid, and one of them don't even live here. I don't even know who he is. But here's my thought. Unless a nuclear bomb went off in our house, and one or both of us is missing a limb, we're having sex tonight. I don't care what else happens, because she put it on the table this morning. Ain't nobody taking it off the table. It's still sitting right there, right? So I'm thinking, okay. And so that night, I brushed my teeth real good. You know what I'm talking about? Like you get extra, you're just making sure, you know, and I'm like, okay, tonight is the night. And I walk in the room, and she's already rolled over. Did I miss something? So, okay, again, hypothetically, some guy that I know told me this story one time.
I did the deep sigh,
Yeah, so I get in the bed beside her, and I make sure I'm under the same layer of covers that she's under, because we've been on different layers before, and that just doesn't work. So I make sure she's under the sheet, too. I'm under the sheet, and then I just kind of, I just check the weather report. I just kind of throw my leg over to her leg. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm just, just making sure. Are you awake? And I hear this sound. I think that means she's ready.
No.
I assume. I don't know. That's what I assume. Okay, now here's the deal. Let's say we don't have sex that night, okay? So I go to sleep, and I'm thinking, what happened? Like, we talked about this morning.
Again, the rest of the day.
She didn't think about it all day long, right? And so I go to bed, and I'm frustrated, right? And I wake up the next day. I wake up, and I'm like, hey, tonight, why don't we try to get the kids, to bed a little early? And she's like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. And I'm like, so there's no, like, carryover? This doesn't, like, right? So what happens? If I'm not careful, I start to harbor, like, bitterness, resentment. I get frustrated with her. I get upset. I assume something about her that maybe is not fair to assume about her. Here's what I'm not thinking through. I don't recognize that before I ever got home that afternoon, all the things that had taken place in our house when the kids got home from school, and the kids called her from school, and she had to run like 19 things back to the school that they'd forgotten. It's been a frustrating day. The last thing she's thinking about is something she said to me this morning. I have two choices. I can hold that against her because I assume that everything in our world revolves around me having sex before we go to bed, or I can give her the benefit of the doubt and say, no, you know what, we're in this together, and maybe today wasn't the best day for this. Maybe tomorrow will be, or the next day, because I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, right? That's your choice. That's the opportunity that you have in your marriage relationship.
Yeah, and it comes in different seasons. We talked about that earlier. It used to be when we had You get married and you have this like really exciting newlywed season. That only lasted a few months for us. I got pregnant just 3 months in, so we had a quick newlywed season.
That was
and we
one
had
of
little
4
kids.
times we had sex. At least 4, right?
4.
We have 4 kids. Just kidding.
And then the kids came along, and I used to enter the bedroom like, oh, finally, my bed. And Jeremy would enter the bedroom and it was like, finally, sex.
She's
You know,
in our
like,
bed.
She's in
Right?
the bed.
Yeah.
So it does come in seasons. You know, Jeremy and I, we have not too much. I mean, you've already shared way too much, so nothing's off limits at this point,
That's exactly
I guess.
right.
But now we're in a season where all of our kids are in school, and we kind of feel like we've entered like our honeymoon season for the first time, but it's a different season for us. Maybe you find yourself like in a season where all of your kids are out of the house and you're like home alone all the
Naked
time.
Thursdays.
Trying to figure out how
You
to
know,
fill up your
Naked
whole
Tuesdays.
day. You know? So you got to give each other the benefit of the doubt in the season that you're in.
Yeah. I think the other thing that we would say to you, other than for all of us to understand that sex is a seasonal thing, is that you have to set realistic expectations. Most of the time in our lives, take sex off the table for a moment. Most of the time in our lives, in every area of our lives, disappointment is the result of unmet, unrealistic expectations. I'm going to say that again because that's really good. Disappointment is often the result of unmet, unrealistic expectations. So here's what that might look like. You say, hey, you know, it's March what's today? The 19th, March 19th. I am going to lose, like I need to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to lose 50 pounds by Easter. Okay, well, Easter's like 3.5 weeks away, right? That's not a realistic expectation for most people. So when you get to Easter and you've lost 12 pounds, which should be something to celebrate, you're disappointed because you didn't meet a goal that was unrealistic in the first place. So go back into the context of sex for a moment. If you have an expectation that maybe started before you got married based on your family of origin, the way your parents talked about it or the way your family talked about it or didn't talk about it or what you heard from your girlfriends or boyfriends or friends or your past sexual experience or lack of sexual experience, and you set expectations that you bring into marriage, if you don't talk about those expectations, you are now setting an expectation for your spouse to meet that they don't even know about.
Yeah.
Because you just set an expectation. I set an expectation for her that we're going to have it this much, we're going to this often, in this way, whatever those things are. And those are just the buzzwords that so many couples are arguing about when they finally get to our office. But whatever that thing is, that assumption that you had, that realistic expectation wasn't there, and it also wasn't verbalized. So again, communicating about that. So make sure that you're verbalizing your expectations.
Yeah, and then